Good. So welcome on the second session with the presentation of the product for interface testing. This product is INT4 IFTT, software for regression testing of interfaces, but the most important part, everything here is automated. This is the agenda for the next 20 minutes. We start stopper just to be sure that I will make it on time. And first we will go through the IFTT concepts, and then I will show you live demo, and finally we'll have time for questions and answers, and I'm very keen about your opinion. As Pontus is recording this session, I will introduce myself again. My name is Michal Kowalczewski, and I am architect and product manager of this tool. I work for INT4. INT4 is a vendor of this software, but our background is consulting. We are a team of 15 experts in the area of SAP integration and HANA. We do projects globally. Michal Kowalczewski, one of our founders, some of you know him, is a recognized SAP mentor. We are publishing books, attending conferences, writing blogs on SDN. As in our INT4 mission, we would like to have some influence on SAP ecosystem. And this product is such attempt to have this influence. INT4 is SAP Silver Partner, and the product that I'm going to show you is SAP certified add-on both for on-premise NetWeaver installations and S/4HANA. So let me start with concepts of this tool. This is important that all of these concepts are coming from our project experience. This product can be applied for different phases of the project. It might be development, testing, go live, and further maintenance. And these concepts are followed. The first concept, test the whole SAP landscape. We are testing integration. Most of the integration is implemented on the middleware. However, we would like also have access to SAP Business Backend to see what is happening there, to see final results of interfaces based on final business document that are created by the final business document, like sales orders, deliveries, invoices, everything what the interface creates. The second concept is fast creation of interface test cases. And first of all, here we wanted to have a tool that is possible to record test cases from existing messages. So you don't need to run special executions of third-party system to create test cases. And secondly, we wanted to have a tool that you don't need to specify assertions for every test case separately. The assertions are coming from one-time customizing that I will tell you later on. The third concept is automatic end-to-end execution in SAP landscape. We wanted to be able to execute hundreds of test cases with single click within a few minutes. And the final one, these are detailed assertions, and this is the way how we are building results. We are looking into the middleware, we are looking into XML messages, but also, this is what I mentioned, we are looking into final business documents created by interfaces. And this is what I'm going to show you on next slides. Starting from the scope, IFTT covers testing almost end-to-end, but definitely what is happening in SAP landscape. So we are executing interfaces in PIPO middleware, but also on the ECC backend. We are tracking the processing there. IFTT itself is deployed on the ABAP-based system as an add-on. And in future, we would like also to integrate with other middlewares, not only PIPO. We started working on the HCI. However, today I heard that this name is not working anymore, so we need to start from scratch and focus on the SAP Cloud integration. We would like to have an adapter for AIF, for direct interfaces, which are skipping PIPO middleware. And the architecture of the tool is open, and it's possible to add new middleware components. In terms of scope of the testing, it supports different types of scenarios, no matter if the third-party system is in cloud or it is on-premise. and in terms of directions, we are having separate approach for inbound interfaces, the one that are sent out from third-party system to SAP backend, outbound interfaces, other direction, and also the tool supports synchronous interfaces, synchronous test cases. This is one part of the scope, and on the second hand, the tool is verifying all different components that the interface are built in. As we know that interfaces are built on many different layers, starting from technical connectivity into some functional processing. And in terms of the middleware, in terms of PIPO, the tool is able to support adapter module processing, message mappings, lookups, BPMs, and then the testing is continued on the backend system. So there we are covering testing of ABAP underlying layer of what the interface was written in, no matter if this is IDOC, Enterprise Service, BAPI, or RFC. We are also testing BRF plus logic if it's used, and AIF. And finally, we are also looking into system customizing, into the functional configuration of the system to be sure that the final outcome of the interface is exactly the same as it was designed during test case creation. And to understand how exactly this testing process looks like, I will start from the test case definition, and we are having 3 different definitions depending if this is inbound, outbound, or synchronous scenarios. What is important for all of them? To create a test case, you can reuse existing document, and technically this is just entering message identifier, message GUID to the IFTT, and based on that the test case is created. The assertions, so validation rules, are coming from one-time customizing, which is performed per each interface that you would like to have in scope of IFTT. And in terms of these inbound test cases, we have a snapshot of incoming message from a third-party system that was received by PIPO middleware. At the beginning of processing, this message is collected from the middleware and stored in IFTT. And together with this message, we are storing the final business document that was created from that. This final document like sales order, delivery, or invoice. And thanks to that, we are able to validate the processing during test case execution to be sure that the newly created documents is equal to the reference one stored in the test case definition. In terms of these messages that we are collecting from a middleware, they can be both XML or flat files for EDI scenarios. Outbound test cases are organized in a little bit different way, as we would like to be able to test end-to-end. So we also need to know and to be able to test the time, the event that triggers message from business document. So this will be one part of the test case, and together with that, in the snapshot, we are keeping the final output from middleware processing. It may be again an XML message or flat file, and this would be our snapshot that we'll replicate during execution. For synchronous test cases, actually we are mixing both of these aspects, as we would like to be able to perform validations based on the response, on the interface message response, but we would like also know what is happening exactly in the system. As an example, we can imagine the sales order creation interface, synchronous sales order creation, when it's not enough to determine if the test case has been passed or not, just looking into the response. In the response you will have sales order number, the number of the order that was just created. But together with IFTT, you will be able to verify if the sales order itself is correct or not in terms of the business requirements. So this was a test case creation. And once these test cases are created, we don't need access for third-party systems to be able to execute test cases. Third-party systems will be mocked, During test case execution, messages that we took in a snapshot will be injected back to a PIPO middleware, technically by similar way like Daniel does by this XI30 protocol. And thanks to that, we will mock third-party system. From this point, the processing on PIPO is completely transparent and not affected by IFTT. IFTT will, PIPO will execute the message that was received using ICO of original third-party system. We'll execute all the steps assigned to this interface, and we'll pass the processing into the backend system. And there again, the processing is not affected by IFTT. Regular IDOC enterprise service or RFC will be executed, and IFTT will be back again in the game when this final business document will be created. And then, that time, the automatic reconciliation of reference document that was stored in the snapshot with the newly created document will begin. And here we used fact that this tool is dedicated only for SAP, so we know how these business documents are kept. They are kept in the database, we know the structure. So during this one-time customizing for each interface, we are specifying a set of database tables and fields and relations with them to reflect business document. And thanks to that, we are able to compare all attributes that are important from business perspective on single screen. On this example, sales order, this is sales order on this screenshot, and lighter rows represents values from reference document, darker rows represents values from newly created documents, and we are having access to document header and document items. Field by field, IFTT is providing this comparison automatically, and it's able to determine if the whole test case failed or not. And if it fails, it is able to display the differences between the documents. There are red differences that will fail the test case, and yellow ones that, that contain allowed differences, like for example timestamps. In terms of execution of outbound interfaces, together with this middleware testing, we are also testing the creation of the message by backend system. And usually outbound interfaces in SAP are triggered by manual user actions. And for that we integrated IFTT with ECAT. We are able to record and then playback transactions that as a result the interface message is triggered. Such message is delivered to PIPO. Again, it is processed in transparent way without affection of IFTT. And at the end of the processing, IFTT will grab the output XML or flat file and again perform the comparison. This is a comparison of XML messages. On the left, we are having the reference document stored in the snapshot during test case creation, and on the right, the current content of the current execution. Again, we could have some differences that can be allowed, and these differences are defined as XPath expressions in the customizing for each PIN interface. And what I showed you so far, this was testing of single interfaces, single test cases, and in IFTT it's possible to group interfaces into business processes and execute whole business process from beginning till a last step. This is example of such process, order to cash, which starts with receiving EDI purchase order. This one will create sales order in SAP. And what is important, this process allows for combinations of interface step and manual steps. So the next step would be creation of delivery from sales order. This is usually manual step done in the warehouse. And as an effect, we will receive another interface message, the EDI shipment notification, which will be validated automatically by IFTT. And the next step in the process is to perform manual billing, to create an invoice from the sales order, again manual process. And finally we will receive EDI invoice, which is validated. Again, with use of integration with ICAT, we are able to replicate the actions that are normally done by business users. So it also means that developers are able to test the whole their interfaces just by their selves without having help from business users or from functional experts, as they will be able to simulate the actions that normally are done manually. I will show you such example of such process in the live demo. But first of all, I will start from creation new test cases from existing interface documents. So this is the tool in practice. It is ABAP add-on, so in terms of user interface, it's regular SAP transaction. I have possibility to group all my test cases in the tree structure depending on business processes, sending and receiving systems, countries. This structure is flexible. And right now I will choose one of the categories and will create new test cases. As I said, test cases can be created from existing documents. So very good source of data for such test case creation. These are results of, for example, UAT testing. Such testing is usually happening manually, but we are having report with the documents that we can reuse and upload them to the tool and use them for further system maintenance. It's possible to upload test cases collectively. This is what I will do now. I have UAT results of inbound sales order interface. There are 5 sales orders. And for this creation, I need message identifier. It could be message GUID, or if it's IDOC interface, I can provide directly IDOC number, and based on it, the system will fetch the XML message from PI box. So let me upload 5 test cases at once. I can do simple copy and paste. I just need to specify what type of value I'm passing as document number. 2 means IDOC, 1 means XML message, and these are both for inbound interfaces coming from third-party systems. And now it's just enough to press save. Now IFTT is connecting to PI persistence, standard repository with messages, and it's fetching XML data, and thanks to configuration objects, is linking it with final business documents that are already existing in the system, as I used existing messages. This happens. So I can see that all of these 5 interfaces right now were categorized as sales order interface. And this is this one-time customizing, which thanks to that tool knows based on message identifier what exactly interface it is and what validation rules needs to be applied. I can display those messages, and now you will see that this is the original message that was received from third-party system. This ABAP add-on was able to fetch it from PI, and from that point test cases are created and the system is ready for execution. And of course I can run test cases simultaneously. I can choose even different scenarios and mix different interfaces. Right now I will execute them. So what is happening? The messages were injected into PI, and now they are processing both by the middleware and the business system. I should see this on the PI monitor. Yes, so this is I'm simulating testing of system called PC Webshop, and I can see that there is 5 messages, 5 of my test cases that were run through the original ICO of this system. So I should be able to perform the validations, and this is what is done by the system now. intentionally one of these test cases contain different content than the current mapping, just to show you how these errors are reported. Five of test cases were executed when 4 of them were passed, 1 was failed, and I'm seeing here the detailed comparison of original and documents stored in the reference and the newly created sales order. This is the number of the sales order, so I can check that this is a real document in my backend system. But instead of manual comparison field by field on the regular transaction, IFTT is offering the combined view in tabular form, is able to display different kind of documents, no matter if these are sales orders, invoices, deliveries, accounting documents, and others. So this was the execution of inbound message. How now the outbound part looks like. I will reuse one of the existing scenario with part of such process that I presented on the slide. This is order to delivery process, and it contains 4 test cases. The first test case is an inbound sales order. I can see it by interface type, IDOC message number, but this is the PI interface. So the order definition that was determined is sales order. Then I'm having outbound sales order confirmation that is generated from the current order that was created during test case execution. And to be able to link these 2 documents, I'm keeping parent case ID. The third step in this process will be delivery creation, and this one is manual step that would be simulated by playback of ICAT recording. This is the name of this ICAT recording. This ICAT recording must be standardized in terms of input and output parameters that IFTT will be able to pass and get values from them. And finally, the last step in this scenario is testing of outbound delivery interface, which is also related to the first sales order that was created. Okay, so first I will execute 2 steps just to show you the results of outbound testing when we are collecting the final XML message from PIPO and comparing XML or flat files. So I needed to execute also the sales order itself, because the sales order is an event which is triggering the outbound testing. This one is passed, and the second test case with sales order confirmation is also passed. And I can go into details and see in practice how the reference XML looked like and how the XML from current execution looks. Of course, the differences are document numbers, as this is sales order from reference document. This is sales order created right now during this test case execution. So these differences are specified in the configuration as XPath expressions. And finally, I can execute the whole process, all 4 steps. So test sales order interface inbound, test sales order interface outbound, test creation of the delivery, and finally test outbound shipping notification message. So right now the messages are injected to PI, and the ICAT recording will be executed and will create the delivery based on the sales order which was created during test case execution. This is a little bit slowly, as this is a VPN connection. but it's still much faster than I will need to do these steps by myself.
But you can also do it using server. Could also run on the server directly, right?
Yes. So several test cases at once, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is the result of the whole process. Source order has been passed. Source order confirmation passed. The delivery was created, but we are not doing any assertions as the tool is dedicated for interfaces. But I just know the delivery number. And finally, I have my outbound shipping notification interface that I can validate the results. And this will contain the delivery number that was created just before by the test case execution. So I'm able to test the whole process end to end, different interfaces coming to SAP landscape and being sending out. So this is basically it in terms of the live demo. And at the end, I just wanted to indicate few appliances of the tool. So it might be used for different PI and TCC upgrades or patchings. It might be used for B2B add-on migrations. Now we received an interesting question from a client who is planning to do the B2B project and migrate all legacy solution called Gertran. Maybe you know it. It's really from 70s. And the thing is that we can use IFTT in such project where we will upload manually all the artifacts that normally are processed by the Gertran. We will create these test cases before the real implementation of interfaces will happen. Because on the testing system, they are able to see the content of the messages that they were already processed, and they are also having business documents that were created from them, sales orders, deliveries, invoices. So we will prepare these snapshots before the real interfaces will be developed, and after developing of these interfaces, we will be able to perform the regression testing from business perspective. That we will confirm that the new solution is supporting all previously defined business requirements. The next group of potential users these are rollout projects, especially for the single client implementations when we are integrating SAP with a big number of local systems, and then we are moving to another country, to another site, and usually we are extending the existing interfaces and incorporating new local requirements and new features. And then finally we are not sure if the interfaces that we already started on production on the first site are still working correctly. And even it might be difficult from a resource perspective, as usually the third-party experts that were attending the first site, the first rollout, they might be outside the company, and it would cost a lot. But if we create test cases before starting the development for the new site, we can easily replicate and validate the existing systems and existing interfaces. And finally, regular system maintenance. This is also very good appliance, because with IFTT you will build knowledge about your integration thanks to those test cases that will, together with the content of the messages, will be linked to the outcome, to final documents created by it. And usually after the project, the new team is taking care of the system, and for them it's really difficult to judge what would be the impact of changes that they need to perform. IFTT can make it a little bit more safe. And finally, I just wanted to share the last appliance, which we called non-SAP system virtualization, and I think that this refers a little bit to what Pontus mentioned. That, for example, here we have multiple instances on the SAP side. We are having development, maintenance, testing, integration, quality environments, and finally we will have production environments. And most of the legacy software of third-party systems, they are having 2 or 3 instances, development and productions. So it means that it limits possibility of testing only to one single SAP landscape. With use of IFTT, we can replicate test cases through the landscape and mock third-party systems on every environment. Yeah, so as a summary, I just wanted to indicate again these most important features, like quick and simple test case generation based on existing business documents, flexible configuration, and the fact that the assertions and validations we are defining only once during test tool implementation, and of course indicate this complete testing scope that we are testing whole SAP landscape, not only middleware, not only backend system, but both of them. And we are validating it with use of single test cases, both functional and technical requirements. So finally, using of such tool can save time and improve quality. Yeah, so now I'm interested about your opinion and questions.
I have a couple of questions. Where do you see that you would pick the original messages? Do you see yourself using it specifically in a production system, or do you see it specifically being picked in a test system?
Specifically in the test system. So currently you cannot jump from one landscape to another. So it means that all test cases must be created on the same environment that they will be used, and this is usually testing system.
Okay, because that kind of answers my second question, which would be in a production landscape PI, you would have limited time for persistence of successful messages, which would then make it difficult to find the correlating message in PI given the GUI, as you mentioned.
Yes.
In a test system, that might not be the case also.
Exactly. And the design principle that we had, this was not affecting any existing PI configuration or interface configuration specifically. So we are reading messages from original standard PI persistence. It automatically means that these messages must be in the system, but we are reading them both from standard repository and from the archive. So if the archiving is activated, the messages will be collected from archiving.
Okay.
Yeah, and then third question, maybe I lost it.
Just call lost and found.
It won't be there.
If I want to set up a sales order thing, are there any predefined content so I can just select the sales order?
Yes.
Or?
So we delivering the tool with most common documents on the logistics space.
Okay.
So it would be sales orders, deliveries.
So you get the different table.
Yes, and during the implementation you can add Z fields into the table definitions, or you can add some custom tables or custom objects depending on the what exactly is happening in the system from the process perspective.
Would you ever run this in production?
No. In terms of no, it's not permitted. It's even technically the program is checking what is the client setting in the system, and if it's production, then it will not be executed.
Because I've seen situations where we actually have done testing in testing systems according to all available knowledge, feeling comfortable with the solution, and then running it in production, there is some sort of problem. And obvious, for most times related to different sets of data or configuration.
No, this is strictly from testing environment. It's very dangerous, yes, to create
because you're creating real
backend documents. Yes, documents on production. And one of the approaches that we also had from one of our clients, they used IFTT both for upgrading the same time PI to 7.5, and applying the new enhancement pack on the ECC box. And what they did, they took existing PI, existing PI, took existing production ECC, and they copied it to sandbox landscape. So they had a set of all these XML messages from production, all of the business documents from production, and they performed upgrade both for PI and ECC, and then we used real production data.
That makes sense.
But could you migrate test cases? If you have like in Pontus environment, you have several test environments, and you have one maintenance and you have one project stream, and could you do the test cases in your project first, and then you will move them to your maintenance system and also test them there?
Yeah. So this option is not yet implemented, but we are having it in mind, and it would be next release. We are thinking about it. The only difficulty that might happen, this is difference in the master data.
Yeah.
That we are working on the end-to-end level,
Yeah.
so the master data should be the same. But
Yeah.
still, I think that it's fine to agree a set of common
Yeah.
master data of 10 customers, 10 materials on all these systems, and then perform testing based on same test cases, then create separate test cases on each of these.
Yeah, because today you tend to spend a lot of time just to get the test data in there.
Yes.
And if you do it manually, it doesn't maybe really care. It doesn't really matter if it's the same test data or it's other. But if you have a tool, then it might be more important to make sure that you have the same test data in
Yes.
all environments. I think it's good. But then you probably can do the migration or copy the test cases. I have another question also. We work today, if we talk about the end-to-end perspective, many of our integrations today is using principal propagation features, meaning that the system, the user log on or the system calling PI will be validated through the backend system. Will this support that?
So what exactly the scenario is that you need
The
to
scenario
have?
is like you have a third-party system with a user and that is validated. What do I say? Principal propagation means that the
You need
the
to
user calling PI will be validated against the ERP backend ECC system.
So this is the scenario that you need token from one interface to another.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this would be it's supported by this full testing of the full processes concept, and here it is possible to propagate values from messages from XMLs from one to another. For that we are also using XPath expressions, or if these are flat files, the regular expressions.
But let's say that I have a, what I mean is, it could be that I have a request, I just send a question to SAP to get the materials for, and depending on which user I am, I will get different response.
Yeah, because this would behave exactly, we are mocking third-party system in that case. So depending on the request, if the username is in the request, and it is, you will receive.
It's in a technical.
It's in the token actually.
Yeah.
So it means that the system will behave exactly the same like the user will be calling.
So that would be part of the XI3 as well.
Yes, this is part of XI3.
Yeah. Okay.
But you're logging in as the
Yeah, we are storing.
EFT
We
user.
are storing the content of the message together with the full XI3 0 header.
So you have the XI3 zero header?
Yeah, with all parameters that are inside,
Okay.
attributes.
Okay. But is it an attribute or where does?
In this case, we have two scenarios. One is SAP to SAP, and then it's in the XI protocol, I guess. But then we have a self-build with SOAP and access adapter. I guess that will not work. Where we actually get the HTTP authentication token. I guess that would be.
So this must be
tricky.
look deeper inside. But just to be sure about the limitations, that the tool is not testing the connectivity.
No.
It's testing adapter modules from. I think that this is similar as your approach. That the adapter modules are read from original channel, and the flat file is converted with the rules that are written there, but it doesn't test the full adapter.
But if you have a third party using SOAP putting user credentials in the SOAP header or an HTTP header, for that to have validity in ECC, you have to maintain it somehow, dynamic configuration or something.
Yeah, dynamic configuration.
So
yeah,
if
on the
it's part
access
of
side.
dynamic configuration, it would be part of the XI3 protocol.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
So depending if this is part of XI30 protocol, then it is supported, if not, probably not.
Yeah.
But one thing, you're saying when you're receiving the message, is it in the before it starts in your mod processing chain? In your model
So
chain?
we are having two possibilities for the scenarios which are not using adapter modules for custom logic.
Mhm.
Then we are fetching message after processing from the adapter. But if the scenario require adapter modules,
Mhm.
then we need to enrich the channel, and this is the only point where we need to modify channel, and add the standard bin for storing payload
Okay.
from adapter processing.
Okay.
Yes, and in the tool, in this configuration, which is built per each of the PO interfaces, we are saying which version of the message we would like to collect from persistence.
Okay.
I can show you.
But you do not sort of need to switch on logging or things like that, like in an ICO or an iFlow.
No, because XI30 protocol, it's, let's say, we can call it a little bit as a backdoor in PI.
Yeah?
Yeah, and it would allow to inject message to any ICO without.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. I mean, you're using the GUI to pick a message to begin with.
Uh-huh. Yes.
And by fiddling with the login settings in the ICO, you could add...
You need to at least ensure that you have a standard original payload.
Yeah, exactly.
But isn't that the standard setting?
For synchronous calling, we will not see the payload in PI, I guess.
Yeah, so for the synchronous calling, we are having a little bit different concept. That when you are creating the synchronous test case, you need to paste content of the message. Yes, this is such example. And here, basically, when I'm creating this test case, I need to paste content manually, because it would require changing the standard settings in PI to persistent synchronous calls, and practically nobody is doing that. So there is a possibility to upload request manually, and the response will be fetched during test case creation. As based on this request, the test case will be executed, the response will be fetched, but the request you need to input manually.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.